This conference will now be recorded.
All right, folks, so we're in chapter 14 and we're finishing up special senses. So we last week we were looking at chapter 13 in the nervous system on Tuesday there. And like I said earlier there, and I'm going to mention this again while we're recording, that I have posted the YouTube links again for last week as far as last Thursday, as well as this past Tuesday. So this way, if you need to review, you can. And those of you that are watching this, knowing that if you're not watching remotely live, you will have to then do a summary of the lab. So here we have vision. So we've looked at, we in last class, we reviewed as far as your special sense for olfaction, sense of smell, as well as gustation, your sense of taste, right? And we also looked at, and actually reviewed, the sense of hearing, okay? And we watched some interesting videos regarding those and just giving you a little bit of insight, what goes on with folks that are experiencing, in particular, hearing loss. We also reviewed regarding what was going on as far as with those that suffer with COVID and have had issues with their sense of taste, okay? And the correlation with that and such. And like I said, that was a little bit more detail than you need to know, but still giving you some insight there. How many, show of hands in the classroom here, how many of you lost your sense of taste if you had COVID? I did, yeah. All right, about half the class there that's out here on campus. So yeah, so quite a few of us have done that. Does anybody still have an issue with their sense of taste? Anybody at all, or you're pretty much everybody's okay? And everybody should be okay, but some people have had like lingering effects, so it's not abnormal.
Immediate sense of spice. So like spicy food. So like I mess around. I actually just challenged myself recently this weekend, and I did a spicy challenge.
Okay.
And all I did was just sweat a little bit, but they were all looking at me like I was crazy. But spicy food is not spicy.
It's not. It's not affecting you as much as it did before. Yeah. See, now you have a superpower that you can use. So, all right, I'm bringing you with me to some bars, and we're gonna bet money on you.
I know. You guys have like no.
Too funny. Too funny. But yeah, so but honestly, like we do get it though, that if you do lose your sense of smell, it's not a good thing because it's going to affect your ability to taste. And you all can think about this for a moment and remember that and recall that when you've been sick and you've had a sinus infection or some type of respiratory type issue going on, or a virus, right? That your sense of taste is just not there. And imagine, so like for a short period of time, it's not a big deal. But imagine for a longer period of time how that can really affect your ability to enjoy food, right? That's a tough thing for sure. Do you remember the tastes that we talked about? We said there was sweet, we get that, salty, sour, bitter, right? So bitter and umami. Now bitter, right? Very good. So bitter, we said, was like in nature, things that are poisonous that you could eat in nature, right, can have a bitter taste to them. And so we have a very low threshold for the sense of bitter taste. And so we know bitter right away, and we're able to then, determine, hey, that's bad, spit that out, right? We should not be eating that. But the umami thing, I didn't really talk about that too much. No, I did, yeah. So I'm going to talk about that now for a moment here. So umami, think of it as like a brothy. They'll describe it as a brothy type of a taste. Think of like a juicy tomato or a juicy steak, or how about like soy sauce, right? This is like an umami type of a sensation for taste and such. And it just adds to all of what the experience of eating. Notice that texture plays an important role as far as taste is concerned. Have you ever had something like, say, mussels, right, or clams, and you're like, it doesn't taste half bad, but just the whole sensory input of like, it's not so good. I don't know. Now, there might be some of you that are like, hey, that's good stuff and I enjoy it. But for me, that texture part of it, I just can't get past that. I don't like it. How about, has anybody ever tasted this? Milk of magnesia. You ever have like a stomach upset and you hammer some of that liquid, either there's the pink stuff or the white stuff, right? The Pepto-Bismol or the milk of magnesia, which is the white stuff. And you're just kind of like, like the chalkiness of it, right? It's just, I'm not feeling it. Some people, now I have to tell you, this is kind of funny. And if it's you, we're going to laugh at you. But but some people actually like that kind of sensation, like that chalkiness. And they're like, oh, this is like yummy, like a chalky milkshake. Nom, 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 nom. No, I don't know, man. That's a little gross to me. But again, we all have our. Can you agree that texture can be a deal there, right? It can be a deal breaker, really. Like if like you like something, but it's like, how about so for me, and it's kind of funny because of my heritage with like seafood and such, right? So go with seafood, right? So I don't mind the flavor, the taste so much, but it just is like the texture for me, like lobster, not feeling it, shrimp, not feeling it, right? And by the way, also, so if you like shrimp and you like lobster, pretty much you like butter, right? Because, right, am I not kidding that? Like most people, like you're dipping that in butter, and so yeah, you're pretty much enjoying butter more than anything else. But anyhow, that's me. but again, texture can be an issue. How about whether we eat something that's hot or cold, right? Because like you can eat a food that's warm or hot, and it has flavor to you and you enjoy it. But if you were to eat the same thing, same food item cold, you may not be feeling it as much, right? So that's definitely a thing also regarding your sense of taste and such. So we can see how your sense of taste, your sense of smell, really vital. How about this? This is something interesting. So let me look in my book here for a moment. And I'm getting out a quarter. Let's see, we have a quarter. All right. So look at this quarter for a moment. Look at the size of the quarter, right? So watch my hands very carefully. No, I'm not going to do a magic trick. But do you see how small it is, right? So the quarter's not really that big, right? Now imagine the size of like a dessert plate. Okay, so a dessert plate's going to be, let me draw it just so that we can get an idea. So dessert plate. Okay, so the X marks the spot as far as how big the quarter is. And the dessert plate, about that size. I mean, it's terrible drawing, but you know, it's about that size, right? So understand that there are some dogs that have the sensory input for their sense of olfaction the size of a dessert plate. And we humans have about the size of that quarter right there. Now, can you imagine then thinking about that? Let me show those online. So you all that are online here, so I've got this paper here, the poorly drawn size of about a dessert plate, and you'll see the X marks the spot of that area about the size of a quarter. So that's, oh, my camera's off. Oh, you know why? Because I'm sharing my, sorry guys, let me turn this. Oh, here we go. Now that's back. That should be good right there. Can you see it now, guys? Yeah, there we go. So thank you for reminding me. So this about the size of a dessert plate, a quarter size of what our sense of smell, but some dogs can have that large of an amount of surface area for the sense of smell. So can you imagine then that a dog, their ability to smell is on a whole different plane than you or I, right? Really. And then, so it's interesting also when you think of certain dogs like hounds and such that are actually, and that could be used in for like, how about search and rescue? That's pretty cool, right? They can smell something that someone's worn, a piece of clothing item, and then go searching out for that person. That's pretty remarkable, to be honest. That's pretty amazing. So yeah, they really do smell in a different plane of reality in comparison to you or I. Now let's get back into, and we talked about then the sense of hearing and how we can have issues as far as with hearing loss, and it can be incremental. Remember when we talk about things that we have loss, mild, moderate, and severe. So mild, yeah, it can be not so bad. Moderate, worse, and then severe, yeah, we can have profound where you're not hearing anything. If anything, maybe like a little buzz. And do you recall we talked even about, mentioned about tinnitus, that kind of like so can we all do that together? No, but right, that buzzing, that ringing in your ears, it's not a fun thing, right? You know, it's really can be quite disturbing. And let me ask you this, you tell me, I want your input on this, okay? Why would tinnitus be worse while you're getting ready for bed and sleeping? What do you think? What do you guys think over here? What do you think? Why might it be a little bit, go ahead. Yeah. So because you have no other distractions going on, and then you're just focusing on just trying to relax and be calm. Yeah. And then that's what you're really coming to the forefront. But when you're busy a lot of times, you're not noticing it. Do you recall the word adaptation? So like you're adapting to it, but then when you're just kind of focused, yeah, then that really comes to the forefront. Go ahead, please.
Watch TikTok or play video games until I pass out. Because if I try to lay there and fall asleep, I hear my own heartbeat or like something outside, and I can't. So
Yeah.
I just keep going until I pass out.
Understood. And you know, that's you're not uncommon. You're not abnormal. You know, you're just many of us do that. I listen to a radio, you know. I just listen to some music and such, and that chills me out. Yeah. So, yep, so it's a good thing. All right, so now let's come back to today as far as we're talking about our sense of vision. And I'm going to ask you all by a raise of hands here in the classroom, out of all of the senses that you could experience a loss of, okay? So if I said to you, you had to lose one thing, one special sense, how many of us would not choose vision? How many of us would not choose vision? Like you would choose vision.
100%.
Really? Okay. Do you know anybody? All right. That's quite interesting. Do you mind? No, I'm saying, wait, maybe I said it wrong. Let's get back. How many? So if you had to choose a sense of something, special sense to lose, you would not choose vision. So you would not choose vision, raise your hand. Because I know for myself, I would absolutely not choose vision as the one. Absolutely not. And we in our family have someone, so we have someone that is blind actually. And so I can't even imagine what life would be like without the sense of vision, honestly, right? So that would really be, yes, there is that, but it's just, I have to tell you, just knowing this relative and what this person has gone through, and he had his vision before and he lost it. So can you imagine that that's even kind of worse because you already had it, but then, you know, you lose it and such. It's just, yeah, it's devastating. And this was as a result of, so here's the other thing also, diabetes, right? Diabetes unchecked and you know, this is that you really have to get that under control if that's an issue that you do have an experience. Now, let's go into here and look at as far as an overview. And you'll see here a system of photoreceptors and brain centers. And so those photoreceptors, folks, these are going to be receiving the light and the input that we are then going to be able to be processed in the occipital lobe, right? And then we're going to be able to have our ability to see and such. Okay. Now there are going to be photoreceptors for dim light, like dark, when it's dark outside, or low light. And then there's going to be for more of a color and really like, so brighter light and our ability to focus. So the cones, these cones are the ones that are focusing, are really giving us the ability to focus very sharply, our sharp focus, as well as our color vision. Our rods are what are involved in dim light, night vision, okay? Here, photoreceptors. They receive and interpret signal patterns. The eyes contain a dense array of photoreceptors, right? And this is true, and I'll show you a little bit later as far as where there's more of a focus on some of the photoreceptors than others, okay? So we'll get into that. You'll see here that there are layers. We call them tunics, an outer, a middle, and an inner layer. That outer layer is your sclera. Folks, what do you think the white of your eye is called? The sclera, right? Good. The cornea is what covers your iris and your pupil, right? The color portion of your eye, the pigmented portion of your eye, as well as that hole, the dark spot in your eye. The cornea is clear and it covers that. Also know that the lens is also clear, which helps to focus the light that enters into your eye via the pupils. All right, the middle layer is the vascular layer. It's called the choroid. It's pigmented, and there are blood vessels. That's why we call it that vascular layer. Bless you. And then the inner layer, the retina with its photoreceptors, the cones and the rods. Right. Now, here you're seeing, let's see here. Okay, so here you're seeing the layers, okay? So this is very helpful. Are you okay?
Yeah, yeah, sort of went down.
Oh man, yes, I've done that before. Does make a good snort though. You know, I like that. So you'll see here that we have the outer, the middle, and the inner layers, right? So this is just giving you an idea. And you're seeing here that we have that pigmented portion called the iris. We have the pupil, which is the opening created by the iris. And you see that as we have light entering into the eye, it is bent. We say it's refracted. R-E-F-R-A-C-T-E-D. Refracted. It's bent. It's aimed into the eye. And now look where it's aimed, folks. In a healthy eye, see where it says the fovea? Oops. The fovea, I think I might have broken my mouse here. See where it says the fovea? That's really where the light is going to be aimed at, that area in particular. And that area, the fovea, contains the highest concentration of the cones for your sense of sharp vision, the cones. Highest concentration right there. There are rods throughout, and there are cones around, but primarily those cones are in that fovea area there. Okay, and when we have light that's not bent directly there, you're not going to have as clear vision. Okay, that's going to be a problem. And so you might wear glasses. So I'm myopic. I'm nearsighted. So I can see near, no big deal, without my glasses, without any type of correction. But looking at you, some of you, you know, as we go back further, your faces are a little blurry. When I'm driving, I need glasses in order to be able to see clearly so I can see the signs and such, right? That's myopia or nearsightedness. Farsighted, you're having issues seeing close, but driving, watching TV, looking at you all further away, not a big deal. So different type of thing. We'll look at that in a few minutes there. So focusing light, this bending, this refracting of light, in particular to the fovea of the retina. So the retina is that inner layer, and the photoreceptors are located in the retina, and particularly the cones in that fovea area. Focusing light, bending light, refracting light. Eye muscle movements fine-tune the focus, which is really important. Right, so these can be very helpful, not only just to be able to move your eyes without moving your head, but also helping with the whole process that we have, because there's inner muscles also. And so like your iris is a muscle, and there are also muscles connected to and surrounding and also connecting to the lens, which is that clear portion of your eye. So light rays strike the cornea from many different angles. The light is focused. The lens focuses the light on this focal point on the retina, which is that fovea. Okay. Sometimes lenses cannot be adjusted enough to focus light on the retina. So the musculature, and you're going to see this in a moment there, that is connected to the lens of your eye, of both your eyes, it's not working right. It's just not able to really make the corrections needed. And so then we need to have contact lenses or corrected, some type of corrective lenses for contacts or for glasses, or how about surgical procedures that can also make a difference here. And let me go over to here. So here you're seeing the image here of the eye. And then as we proceed and see the layers and such, here you're seeing this next slide that we just were talking about, focusing the light. Now here we have, as far as the types of disorders that can be experienced with the eye and your sense of vision. So I said to you that the myopia, this would be a nearsightedness. This is an issue where, see where the light is focused? It's anterior to, it's in front of the fovea and the retina. Look over here at hyperopia, or we could say farsightedness. It's focused behind the eye. So can you see how, like, with farsightedness or hyperopia, the lens, the eyeball is too short, or with myopia, the actual eyeball is too long, right? Because we're then having issues with focus. And look at this, what's called astigmatism. Astigmatism is primarily issues with the cornea, that clear portion, that extension of your sclera, right? The cornea has an issue. It can be in a different angle than what it should be. And that can affect what's going on as far as, and so can you have nearsightedness as well as astigmatism? Yes, you can, okay? Here's just giving you a little bit of an input regarding, so what's going on as far as the ability to bend light. And you see here that there's some liquid there. Know that in this area here where it's kind of tannish and orange, that area is full of, it's full of a gelatinous type solution, okay? It's kind of jelly-like, right? Also know that in this area in front of the lens, there's also more of a liquid type of fluid. It's called the aqueous fluid. And in that posterior area there, it's called the vitreous humor or the vitreous body. So kind of interesting that we're going through, we're bending light through solutions and such, or through, in particular in this posterior area here, where it's more jelly-like. And then you'll see that as we bend the light, objects are going to appear upside down, and it's corrected when you actually, your brain is then trying to figure things out as far as what you see. Question?
So, about liquid, what's called, so, I went to sleep with gum in my mouth.
Yeah.
I woke up, so the dream got all up in my eye.
Yeah.
Especially this eye. So it was like swollen, and then like
Yeah.
it hurt when I would close it, but it was kind of like liquid coming out.
Yeah.
It hurt.
Yeah, you
Like
really
a
could.
week straight.
Yeah, and that's, so here's the thing, right? This is interesting that like liquids in one area of the body are okay, but in other areas of the body, they can cause problems. And understand this also, that the liquids in certain areas, right, can contain bacteria that can be okay in one area of the body, but not okay in other areas of the body. And so that's why you can end up having like a little bit of an irritation and infection even in another area of the body. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's no fun. It's uncomfortable for sure. Yep, definitely. Now take a look here at this image. And what this image here is showing you is that what's going on as far as these, they're called ciliary muscles, these muscles that are kind of in an oval pattern surrounding that lens and connecting to the lens. And you'll see on the right here, when we're looking at something up close, we have these muscles, these ciliary muscles will contract, which will then allow for a change in shape of the lens. Or in the case of looking at distance, trying to focus on a distance, the muscles will relax and you'll see then the fibers become taut, and again, changing what's going on with the lens. And this aids in our ability to then be able to focus far or close. Pretty cool stuff. Right. Now you'll see here as far as these signals, these visual signals, enter into the eye. And then once they interact with those photoreceptors, we're creating then an electrical signal that's going to be sent to that occipital lobe, which is at the base of your skull. And that's going to then process what we see. And actually, like I said, it turns it correct right side up so that you're not looking at everybody upside down, but you're looking at everybody like it should be as far as right side up. But that's having to do with that whole refraction, the bending of light and such. Interesting stuff. So you'll see here a system of photoreceptors and brain centers receive and interpret these signal patterns. Again, reviewing as far as the layers of the eye. I don't know about you all, but I'm starting to get a little warm. Good, I have my fanny. There we go, the fan. Good old fan. Here's my fan. Good stuff. Cool me off a little bit. All right, let's go. The process of sight. So you'll see here that the retina, that inner layer, that's the area that is going to contain those photoreceptors that are going to take the images in, take it, that input, that light that's being refracted, that's being bent, being focused in, and then send it to electrical signals to the brain. Question? Sure, go for it.
I'd be allergic to it, but the first thing that attacks is always my eye. You know why? Like my eye gets so like
Yeah, because, well, I mean, think about this, so that like, how many areas of your body are really exposed to the outer environment, the external environment? Your eyes, your mouth,
but it's like
your nasal cavities.
it's more like when I'm allergic to medicine.
Mhm.
Also when I take certain medicine, it's
Yeah,
I'm allergic to cat and dog fur too.
yeah,
Like you're saying the outside.
yeah. Unfortunately, so those are the areas that are really going to be affected and sensitive to. Indeed, yep. You'll see here that, let's see here. So signals move to the visual cortex. And again, that visual cortex is in the posterior aspect of the brain at the base of your skull, that occipital lobe. Now here we have, as far as the rods and the cones, these photoreceptors in yellow and orange that you're seeing here on the screen. So you'll see that one incoming ray of light, see this big one right here? So it's coming in, passes through this area of the retina and hits those photoreceptors, right? And this is when they will take that the photoreceptors will receive that light and then transfer it, create an electrical output, which is going to travel via these green horizontal cells, these amacrine cells, and then these ganglion cells to, see the purple area right here? That's going to go then to the optic nerve, cranial nerve number 2, which is a nerve that is directly connected to the brain. Okay? Then that's going to send input to the base of your skull, that occipital lobe of the brain, which will then process the input that it receives. So here we have this next slide showing you as far as that there is different types of color blindness. Anybody in the classroom here experience color blindness or have issues with colors, color differentiation? A little bit? Do you know which colors in particular? Okay, interesting. Yeah, so, you know, this is not something that's abnormal and that people can experience different types of levels of issues with color input. Primarily it's inherited. So do you know if anybody in your family? Interesting. Now it could be, so many times these types of issues are inherited, but there could be like as you were developing that you had some type of issue. Yeah, it's hard to know. Astigmatism we talked about, but primarily it's that cornea, that clear portion of your outer eye that is having it. So look up here for a moment, just see. So imagine like it's like there should be a curve like this, right? A normal curve. Imagine that curve is even like this. And so sometimes what can happen, so normal might be like this and abnormal might be like this, more of a sharp curve. They can have like hard contact lenses that can push on the cornea, or they can do corneal transplants also. Myopia we talked about, nearsightedness. Hyperopia, also known as farsightedness, different shapes of the eyeball affecting what goes on as far as the bending of light, the refracting of light. Conjunctivitis. So here we go. This is inflammation of the eye's transparent membrane that lines the inside of the eyelids. So have you ever seen someone who has like really, it's irritated and all red and it's infected and such? Yeah, so no fun. Herpes is also a virus that can infect the eyes. So how about, there are different types of herpes viruses, know that, different types, right? But herpes infections in the eyes can cause and lead to blindness. Here we go with another image just showing you as far as what's going on with issues with nearsightedness and farsightedness. And you can see this better like when you have the PowerPoint at home that you're able to look at on your computers. Yes? Yeah. Well, that's never, well, again, like I said also, right? So not to be gross, right? But say like you use the restroom, you don't wash your hands and you touch your eyes. That could be a problem. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, cold sore is an example of a herpes virus. It's probably not a good idea to like go from here and go, oh, let me just scratch my eye, you know. The potential is absolutely there. Yeah. How about this, right? You have bacteria. You have bacteria that live on your skin, right? That live on your skin, and it's okay because they're good bacteria. They don't make you sick. But how about if I cut myself, not on purpose, but how about if I, cut myself, and that bacteria enters deep into the layers? Can that give an infection? Absolutely, right? That's not good. So we can say that liquids, solutions, bacteria can be good in one area, but not good in another. So even like the fecal material, and we'll talk about digestive system later, but know that like we should have bacteria in our colon. That's a good thing and it's helpful. If we don't, that's a problem. But if that area ends up going into, so like the little kids do things that are not so, right? We get that, and they can then touch other areas and have infections. Yes. No. Warts are a virus. Warts are caused by a virus. Okay, so let's go on to then. Can there be one conversation? Cancers of the eye. So can we have different types of cancers? Yeah. So cancer can be in multiple areas in the body. Guys, no talking, please. So melanoma, retinoblastoma, these are issues. Guys, please stop talking. Honestly, that's rude. Please, thank you. So malignant melanoma, retinoblastoma, these are just different types of cancers that can occur and that can be really quite devastating and lead to blindness. Okay. Let's look at the next. So we have a couple more slides to look at as far as pathology or diseases and such. And this might be something that you might find interesting. And also realize here, like as we get older, there are issues that can occur as a result of becoming older. So cataracts. Cataracts are a situation where we have a clouding of the lens of the eyes. Do you think this would affect the ability then to bend the light? They should be clear. If they're not clear, it's going to absolutely affect how the light is bent and how it's focused into the retina. Question? Pardon? Say again? I've seen like videos like they cut. Yeah. So you can have a replacement done. Yes. So we can remove that. So you can have surgery to replace those. Absolutely. And that can be, and the person who experiences that they're like, oh, like night and day. Like they're able to see again and see clearly. That's a big deal. You'll see here, macular degeneration. So recall I said to you that term fovea. So the area where the fovea is kind of like a bullseye. Look at this for a moment up on the board. I'm going to draw this. So so the F here, that represents the fovea. The M is called the macula. And really the fovea is the bullseye of the macula. The fovea has those photoreceptors for cones. for your sharp vision and your color vision. That whole area there is very important, and that's where we're focusing light right here for our sharp vision. So do me a favor, at your desk right now, take a look at something in front of you, like in the middle part of the desk. Focus on it for a moment there, right? So by you being able to focus on that area, what's going on is that the light that's coming off of whatever you're looking at is focusing right on that fovea so that you can see it nice and clearly. All right. So macular degeneration. So the macula is this whole then area, and the fovea is the center portion or the bullseye of it. If you have macular degeneration, is that going to affect your ability to see sharp vision? So like if I look at someone and I focus on their face, it's going to be kind of like blurry or even black, where I'm not even able to see their face because my central vision is lost. Does that make sense to you all? I'm going to show you an image. So take a look at this. This will give you a little bit more input. So right down below here, you see how in the central vision, it's kind of having an issue? That would be macular degeneration. And it could get to the point where it's like you're just seeing like a black space where your central vision should be. Yes. Yeah. So floaters have to do with, you remember when I said to you regarding that, let's see, the not the aqueous humor, the vitreous humor or the vitreous body, that gelatinous area, that can have particulate matter that's present in there, and that's where you might see floaters and such. Yeah, so the floaters are very common, and glaucoma is when we have an issue as far as, so look over here. So here we've lost peripheral vision, and there's more like you're looking through a periscope kind of a thing. Glaucoma. Your pressure of that aqueous humor, remember I said that there's that fluid in front of your lens? That fluid pressure gets built up, and high pressure, not a good thing. It's not draining properly and such, and that can lead to blindness. Absolutely. Yes, yeah, my father has it too, and yep, they have to every day. They're doing drops. Yep. Diabetic retinopathy, you can have issues where there's spots in your vision. Cataracts can affect your ability to focus. Retinitis pigmentosa is also kind of very similar to the presentation of the glaucoma in that you have central vision, but your peripheral vision is messed up. And that has to do with issues with your retina. You'll see here, next slide, you'll see detached retina. Folks, if you ever experience a situation where you start seeing like flashes of light in your vision, your visual field, that could be a detached retina as a result of some type of fall or a head trauma. That's quite a severe type of a situation where you need to get checked out to make sure that they can do something about that, because your retina detaching from the very inner wall of your eye, that can really that can lead to blindness. It's that severe. Nyctalopia, this is an issue where you're having trouble seeing at night. The retinitis pigmentosa I mentioned before, as far as you have central vision, but you don't have peripheral vision, opposite of the macular degeneration, where you have peripheral vision, but not central vision. The retinopathy has to do with blood vessels collapsing, and their bleeds can take place in your eye, which is not good, and it affects your ability to see. You'll see here in this next slide, showing you regarding different types of treatments that can occur in order to help correct visual type issues as far as being able to see clearly. So this is really quite important and helpful. Has anybody ever experienced or had LASIK or any of these other procedures? What did you have done? LASIK. Okay. And how long has it been?
Years ago, I had
okay.
astigmatism.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't see with or without glasses.
Wow. And it's great. Yeah, that's awesome. Nice. Very good. Yeah, cataracts, corneal transplants, cataracts where they're removing the lens. Remember, we said that before. So we can Correct. Now, let me ask you this. There are criteria as far as for when you're receiving a transplant and such, but know this, that the cornea and the lens have no vascular supply, no blood supply. So are they, because they're clear, so there are issues then with like rejection and such? No. So do the patients have to go on rejection medication? No, they don't. But if you have a liver transplant, heart transplant, kidney transplant, right? Those you need medications in order to not mount an immune response to those transplanted tissues and organs. And here you're seeing as far as the next one also, just showing you further types of treatments and such. And so people that have issues with like the detached retina and bleeds in the eye, like from diabetes and such, laser type of treatment can be helpful in correcting and fixing. Okay, folks, very good. Stop recording here.